So you don't hear that.
Napivuna.
Nyake.
Janet.
Chris.
Halito.
Kikurus.
Sio.
Chokma.
Jim Quinna.
Ansti Hunteris.
Badawaka.
Yate.
Kunumante. Stongo. Oshkinyacha.
You can tell we're out of practice.
Mike the Gavin.
I was waiting for him to go pivot stongo.
Heinepe.
Buenos
Good morning,
dias.
good morning, good morning, good morning. Coming live from 1950 South Shepherd here in El Ghetto, El Reno, the gut. So I hope everybody's having a good morning today. You know, I got to give a big shout out to the ladies. You know, the ladies really been holding it down with the live stream. I hope and pray that we can get the Sister Theta to start, you know, wanting to tell her story more, man. That's so powerful. You know, like she has a great story. She's doing great work today. And, you know, I got to give a big shout out to my sister. You know, she's really came a long ways, and I'm very proud to be, you know, part of her journey. So
she definitely has a story that can resonate with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Especially ones that are first starting out and are trying to find that, you know, those first steps,
Yeah.
try to find, you know, their way onto this red road that we're all on. So I think we kind of see it with how many people and how many messages we've gotten over the last few days, and how much her story, it's like you said, really resonated with people, and how powerful it can be. And I don't think that, you know, I think all of us, when we first started, like, we didn't think that our story was ever going to, like, help anybody out. And as we've gone along and as we've shared more, we've started to figure out, hey, man, like, it doesn't matter if it helps millions. If we help that one person, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, smoking all that crack paid off.
Yeah.
Nah.
I never thought.
Yeah. I still remember, like, right after her interview, you're like, I think the last time I saw Theta, I was buying dope from her.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and then she got,
Swear.
she's like, oh, the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
That was you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our whole intention was going to this house. My cousin's like, hey, bro, you remember Theta? And I was just like, yeah, I think, you know, like, I remember, you know, somewhat, you know, like, bro, let's go see her. Like, she's about to be at this house. Yeah. And yeah, of course. But I didn't, you know, like, she's there with her, whatever was going on with that situation. But, you know, and it's like, it was just like, you know, I didn't want to be like, what's up, Theta? You know, remember when we were kids? You know, like, what's up? You know, like, but it was just cool, like, kind of seeing her in her element then, and then who she is today. You know, she's a grandma. She's, you know, she wants to be a good mother. And, you know, she's definitely, you know, becoming, you know, everything that she thought she could be. You know, I see her developing into this person. And we actually got a presentation coming up. You know, and you know, like it's crazy, you know, just to think of where we were to where we are today. You know, like definitely, you know, Mahio's will. So it's a beautiful thing, you know. So, and not to say that, you know, like Tatum does good work, you know. Dez, you know, we definitely need Dez, you know, for everything that we do, you know. But, you know, it just, you know, I think we need to just give Theta the opportunity. You know, she's not afraid to step up. Well, neither of them are. You know, all of the ladies are, you know, ready to step up. You know, I'm waiting on Shayna to come out of her shell.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not gonna. Mine didn't happen overnight. Like kind of like gave me the mic and pushed me out
we
there.
had to push you out there.
But like once that goes away, like you kind of understand, like like with me, it's always the opportunity. I'm part of the Get To Club. Like my brother Dave explained, I get to do this.
Right.
I get to have these opportunities today. So I'm part of the Get To Club. I get to tell my story. I get to come on here and talk about my experience, strength, and hope. So, like it's such a big thing to me, to be part of that Get To Club. But yeah, I really appreciate what these ladies are doing.
Yeah, it's really helpful to have their way in the manner that they are. And Tatum has a great story. Steve has a great story. Shane has a great story. Even Dez has a great story.
Dez, I think
there's tons of things that we are privy to because we know where everybody's going. We know how much they've been doing stuff. That's part of the reason why we all work in the group that we work in, because of the experience that we do. So I think it's just important that we all have that opportunity. But I think once we have that first opportunity to do it in front of, not here on the live, or first have that opportunity to go and do it in front of people, like it opens you up to where you're not as afraid to do it anymore, because a live audience is definitely different than sitting here on a camera, and you kind of the nervousness kind of goes away, because you're like, man, if I can do it in front of 30 or 40 people, or sometimes in our case 300 people plus, then it just gets easier as time goes along. And then even having a speaker meeting for her maybe one night, or any of them. Tatum's spoken for us already in our 5 Golden Antiques, right? Wasn't she part of that? So that's those are just opportunities that they get. So, but now that we're learning more and more as Theta's opening up, like it's awesome to see how much people are grasping onto that and are excited about, hey man, I was in that same spot. If she can make it to where she is, it's fun, man, to see everybody's growth, to see how far you've come, to see how far everybody else has come. It's great.
Yeah.
So.
I remember in the beginning, like I remember we got like maybe 1 or 2, 3 people watching, and it was like I was hyped. Like 3 people were watching.
3 people. 2 were right in the
yeah,
making sure the audio was good.
Well,
3 people.
When we first started, it was always like me and Darian sitting in the back, and you and Mingo sitting in the front.
Yeah.
Of the Porho. And so we'd be like, me and Darian would be in the back on our phones trying to make sure everybody was listening and you could hear it right and everything else. And so 2 out of the 3 people was always me and Darian in the beginning. But yeah, I mean,
I was hyped.
I remember when we first hit 10 people, we were just like,
oh my God, 10 people watched us.
Like, everybody's gonna buy our meals.
Yeah, everybody's like,
we're getting rich.
Things are gonna happen.
Need it. But yeah, so like it's amazing just to be a part of this community movement. Like where this they're going. I've learned to appreciate a lot of things, and like it's helped me grow, spiritually. Spiritually, it's definitely helped me grow. It's helped me, kind of understand things in a way that only the creator can present them, and understand the bigger picture of things, and I for those moments, the uneasy feelings are what growth on the other side of that. So doing this thing, like it was like my only job. details, if you really want to know, like I'm not afraid to share how I got here. And I feel like it happened for me so that nobody else has to go down that same path. So, it gives things a different meaning when you put it in that perspective. So,
right. When we start to try to think about how far we've come, or, when I always look back and see how far you've come, because I remember, me and Mingo got to interview you when you first came in, and you were all dressed up and all, and we could tell you were nervous, and you were all holding your shirt collar all tight and stuff.
Top button only.
And just to hear the way you were talking, and even then you could hear the passion behind what you were wanting to do and what you were trying to achieve. And I think over the years, like you've been able to come out of your shell a lot and to share the way that you do now with no, it's not like a no regard to what people are going to think or whatever. It's just like, man, my story is my story. It's going to help somebody. And I think once people can get over that little pride and ego factor in their life, that like, hey man, this is what Creator asked me to do. This is what God is asking me to do, because all I need to do is help one other person. Mm-hmm. All I need to do, my story can resonate with one other person. And that's powerful, man. Like, and I think like, as we've gone along, as we started to figure out like where each one of our individual strengths lie and things like that, that's why we've gotten to where we are now, and why it's just simple for us to be able to talk in the manners that we do. And we find people that are similar to us that are willing to do the same, and recovering out loud is becoming a big deal. Like, where there was always this anonymity around it, like so much, nobody wanted to be known that they were in recovery. But then people started figuring out like, man, if people know, then they can relate to you and you can help them way more. Yeah. In that area. So it's just, I think it's just crazy to see how far we've come, and to think like, man, like how many people like have grabbed on to what it is we're trying to achieve over time, and things that we never ever thought that we were. People say that we're like the lead group and all this stuff we do. And if you ever come up to our office, you would never ever think we were the lead of it.
Hell no.
So it's just crazy to think that, because then when people come up, they're like, this is where y'all are sitting.
Y'all are setting the president on.
Yeah. We asked you all to come and train us.
You guys have a trash box?
Yeah.
So it's just,
we don't get bags.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that. And yeah, man, it's great. But like, the idea of recovering out loud and sharing that, and just being able to like talk with other people about having the ability to be able to do that. Like, don't be scared to share your story, because it's who you are. It's just like sharing, if you're talking with a friend and you're talking about your life, it's the same thing. And I think that's what makes sometimes our groups a little more powerful, because we don't have that ego or that pride that holds us back anymore. Like, it's just who we are now, and it's been really helpful for a lot of people. So,
well, I think it's about time for you to start sharing your story.
Well, I'm always ready to share my story.
See.
Monologue Monday.
Yeah.
Well, like, so we're gonna lock everybody in one room.
And I've talked about it before. Like, I don't ever think that, like, for the longest time, I never thought that my story would resonate with anybody. And but I've been through like so much stuff in my life. And when I look at it, like, I never tied addiction or substance use or anything to anything that I went through. But in reality, it was tied to everything that I went through. And whether it was from my family stuff or losing people in my life, or growing up the way that I did, or being put in the situations that I was put in, or my relationship with God himself, like, all around me growing up as a kid in the life that I had to, because I lost my parents when I was young, and I lost two more mother figures in my life before I was in the last 6 or 7 years. And it's just crazy to think that, people can actually resonate with that side of the story, because when I was young, that was it was thrown at me. Like, you have to do this. This is who you are. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you need to share who you are and how far you've come. And I'm just like, man, I'm 18, 19 years old. I was like, ain't nobody going to listen to me. And it's taken, 20 plus more years for me to be like, okay, like, this is who I am. Like, and if someone's going to be better because of they hear what I've been through, then it's going to be helpful. And I've started to try to come out of my shell more, but it's also because of the path that I've decided to take with my life and trying to become, and letting God lead me to where I'm trying to be. And that's, taking on this ministry role that I'm trying to do and trying to figure out and trying to teach myself how to do. And it's let me kind of open up to where, like, I want to go and talk about stuff. Like, even if it's just getting on Jake's live every evening and we're talking about the meditation, but through that meditation, I'm talking about what I've gone through in my life and why this meditation relates to me in the way that it relates to. Because just because I see it, like, you could get something totally different out of it than what I got out of it.
Yeah,
and that's why I think those lives and the things that we do, like even on ours, like how important it is, because you could get something completely different out of this than what I get out of it. And that's why our shares about it are, I think, why people like it so much. And we do the same thing on Jake stuff now on TikTok, every single night that lasts for hours upon hours.
Yeah. Till midnight.
Yeah. And so it's just to see how far, and I can see everybody else's growth, but like, it's taken me a while, and I'm starting to feel that same growth, and I'm not worried as much, because I was one of those people that I was always worried about what people thought about me, or like my own pride and ego was getting in the way. And now I'm just like, hey man, like, I'm going to say what I have to say. Either you're going to grab onto it or you're not, like, because what I believe is what I believe. But I wouldn't be where I am without how I believe. And so I think that's just like, I've gotten to that point now, and I'm not afraid to do that anymore. So we'll get there.
Growth.
One of these days we'll have my story, I guess, in abundance. But like, there's people that are surrounded in our community that know, like, they know what me and James have been through. Like we all grew up together. Me, you, Dave, and all the, these guys, they all knew the life that we had to come up in. And they also knew my mom, Donna, like, took care of us, and how powerful of a lady she was. And I still hear stories almost on a daily basis about how she affected people's life. And I'm just like, man, I was like, whenever she passed, I remember, like, man, I hope one day that people are walking around saying the same kind of things about me. And I think that's all she ever desired, was like, you have to be able to show people God in your life. And that's the most important part, because you could be the only light in someone's life that they ever see. And I'm just like, man. And that never resonated with me until, like, I finally started to grasp onto, like, man, like that. And that's part of my prayer life now. It's like, in the morning, don't let me miss an opportunity to display who you are in my life to other people. And I just, and now that I do that, I can recognize those opportunities. And whereas before, I never ever used to recognize those opportunities. And so that's just one of the blessings I get every day now. So
awareness.
Yep.
Blessed with awareness.
Yep.
I think that was like maybe one of the key factors in me staying sober, was having the awareness of when I start going back to my old ways of thinking, or my problem solving, or like kind of what we're going to be talking about here in a minute, like just that train of thought of how conditioned I was to put up with alcoholic problems and alcoholic thinking and alcoholic solutions. Like, I always thought to myself, like, even though before I drank, which was very, very young, but I always kind of thought like even if I never chose to drink or do drugs, like I probably would have still lived like an alcoholic because like that was just the environment that I was conditioned to survive in. So it's a great having that awareness is I call it like that was part of my spiritual change, that spiritual that divine intervention that happened,
right?
That was one of the things that, and like I always thought like this beam of light would come down and the clouds would open up and I'd see blue sky when it was all cloudy, and I would hear angels singing, and like that's how I pictured this spiritual experience would happen.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't come like that at all. It just happened through just being actually in the moment and understanding that something that I thought was the worst thing to ever happen to me. Thought it was the worst thing to ever happen to me. Turned out to be one of the best things to ever happen to me. Without even God changing the situation.
Right.
And I always say that because that was my spiritual experience. Going to detox, going to rehab. And it was when I got there, I was full of shame, guilt, anger, fear, all the things, right? I had all of that in my mind, on my heart, like I just thought, I was a bad person. But as I got further into it and I kind of understood, I started getting some clarity. I started, kind of thinking positive. I was around other positive people. And, it all of a sudden, it's the best thing to ever happen to me. And then, I all the things that are the opposite of fear, anger, shame, and guilt, faith, love, like all those things, that are the opposite, I felt all of those all of a sudden. And it was the awareness of like, wow, like this is like, that was my spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And I can never, whenever that realization hit me, it wasn't all these things that had to happen. It's like I stubbed my toe, like duh, like,
yeah.
like Bart or Homer Simpson, like, no, like that's how mine happened, and it was just like, I'd come all the way out here to figure that out, like all these tools were at my fingertips here in El Reno. Because, I was trying to get sober before. I was going to meetings and I hated it. But I needed all these fails to happen. I needed every single fail to happen. So I can look back and be like, it's kind of like taking a history class. So you can look back and realize like what has been tried before. Like that's how, and I love history. I always had an A in history. But, like I could look back and I could see how I tried all these different ways and how it did not work for me. So, like whenever I had that realization, you always hear, in God's time, in God's time, oh, well, I had to wait till I was 41, poor kids,
Yeah, well,
my poor kids, but it happened.
And I think a lot of us struggle with that because we go through life and we wait for this big aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, we're being worked on every single day.
Yeah.
And it's a process that, sometimes we don't think about it, but, God puts us through trials. God puts us through things to make us stronger. So when we come out on the other side, we're ready for whatever it is we're going to face.
For sure.
And so I think that part of that spiritual awakening that you're talking about is like, sometimes it takes time and we have to find ourselves through that so we can become So we're becoming better. So we're a better example of who he wants us to be. And I think that it's like you said, like I remember standing in my aunt's front yard waiting for that aha moment. And I was like, man, I need for this to happen. I need for you to show yourself in a way that I'm not worried about anything anymore. And it's taken time. It's taken, all the way till I was, 40, 41 years old before I started having that realization too. And I'm like, man, I went through all that time.
Yeah.
Waiting for something when in reality, it was here the whole time. And I just needed to actually be aware of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, man, I was like, that's so freaking crazy. And I get mad at myself sometimes. So I'm just like, man, I could have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, but I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't go through all the experiences that I went through. So
yeah. God's timing.
We'll keep on going on if we
yeah. Do we have any comments?
It's not even a
no comment.
It's not a topic today. No one's
We're
even
cooking.
This.
We're over here cooking.
I'm gonna change the title. It's not even meditation.
Let us cook. The Tour Cook Show.
Frida says, "Good morning, brothers."
Mike DeGevin, sister. Mike DeGevin.
Isaac says, "Good morning, all."
If it wouldn't,
it was sounding good till Barry, because you were talking about, I guess, I smoked crack for the right reason.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
Barry started smoking crack.
It all paid off.
Yep. And then Lisa says, Gwen relative spending the day
Gwen
in McLeod, clean for 3 years and 9 months, and just received my Warrior Down recovery coach.
Hey.
I love recovering out loud.
Thank you, sister.
Leslie Bowtone says, good morning, brother and everyone.
Good morning, sis.
We have Jeremiah Two Bear says he's from Fargo, North Dakota.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning
One
in.
day at a time.
All right. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Auntie Charlene says Nyakit, Carmelo, Uncle Barry, and Neff.
Nyakit.
Kimberly Sexton says yo.
Yo.
Dave Levi says no longer part of the Go on Get crew.
For real.
Yeah. Aaron Blackwolf says, good morning, bros. Watching from sunny California.
Aho. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Stacy says, good morning, fellas.
Good morning, sis.
Tasha T-Bone, right?
T-Bone.
T-Bone says, good morning.
Good morning, Tasha.
Nono Russ says, good morning.
Good morning.
And Lisa says, that's right. Coming back to Oklahoma and seeing how us natives are recovering is so inspiring for me.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you guys for leading the way and being a great example.
Aho.
And Dave says, anonymity. Dita says, next speaker meeting for Mello.
Yep.
Elizabeth Black says, aho. Isaac says, a simple conversation can change a person's life. Might become friends for a lifetime because of that.
Definitely.
David Deere says, good morning.
Stone Cold David.
Daniel Gibbons says, they said you're the next speaker, Mello.
Oh, Uncle Biscuit Hunker called it.
And then Frida says, would love you to be the speaker in May at the Kelly Club, Brother Carmelo.
Oh.
And then Margaret Behan will be the speaker
in May.
For real? Mark? Man, that's powerful.
Daniel, you had to come and sing if I'm going to be speaker.
There you go. Alan
He's got him.
Says, pile of walnuts, neon cat. Ruby morning. Remember, our anniversary dance postponed until next month, February 7th. Stay safe and warm.
Aho.
And then Leslie Bowtone is asking, what page are you on? And then
January 22nd. I don't know what page that is. We just go by the date.
January 20th. Oh, yeah. The page just says 33, which doesn't make sense because it's towards the back of the book. But that's probably the winter, because we're in the winter season.
Yeah.
It goes by winter.
Jen Miller says, good morning, y'all.
Good morning,
Jen. Good morning, Jen.
Grant says, good morning. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Thea. Thank you, Nadina. Man. Aho. We appreciate all the comments.
Absolutely.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. Should we go ahead and jump off? And I'm going to read it.
Oh, you're going to read it?
I'm going to read it.
Mingo said, stay hard.
Stay hard.
And Daniel said he will do songs.
That's right.
There we go.
Ooh, awesome. See, it's all coming together.
It's going to be all kinds of keen. We have to pick our food, though, Daniel, so.
Ofunga's will.
Yeah, Ofunga.
Ofunga's will.
Oh, brother.
Well, we're going to go ahead and jump off into this reading. I haven't read one since I had to. When I had to do it by myself, and I had to read it.
Big old magnifying
Struggling, yeah. Now I got a baby magnifying glass. And, and just a little update on that. I had my cataract surgery. I've, still got a couple more laser surgeries to go. Then one more surgery after that. But I mean, my vision was before my surgery, I was right below, 200. When your vision is at 200, you're legally blind. I was at 180. And then after my surgery, a week later, it was at 2050. So quite a big,
big jump, man.
Big jump, God definitely, I thought I had to hang it up.
Preparing for
beaded
canes.
Yeah.
Looking at dogs.
Now I'm at Cane's looking at the menu.
Man, I've been eating this.
But I'm gonna go ahead and jump off into it. The White Bison Elders Meditation of the Day, January 22nd. And it says, the first factor in the revolution of consciousness is the mystic death of the ego, the death of the negative thinking, negative personalities. We must purify the soul of the inner enemies. Every time a defect manifests, envy, gluttony, anger, lust, whatever, that impulse to the heart ask, do I really need to invoke this? And then honor the heart. Willaru Hueta Quechua Nation, Peru. Our egos have character defects. These character defects we sometimes act out, and they invariably bring results to our lives that we might not want. If we continue to use these character defects, we will continue to have undesirable results in our lives. How do we change ourselves or get rid of character defects? We can go to the heart and ask a question, make a decision, then honor the heart. For example, say I get angry. Say I get angry today, I would go to the heart and ask, would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? How we answer this question can have an enormous impact on how our day goes. Once we decide the answer to this question, we need to honor the heart by saying, thank you for the power of changing my thoughts. I choose to be happy and to experience peace of mind. And then the prayer for today says, Great Spirit, today let me teach only love and learn only love. Would you like to go first, Mr.
Yeah. We talked.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Mr.
Man.
Revelis.
We hit on a lot of this stuff already.
Yeah.
But in my own personal life, I went through all this. I went through negative thinking. I went through having a negative personality. And when I was in my own addiction, that was negative personality was my center. Like, I didn't think I had any responsibilities, anything that I needed to worry about. And it was just like a sinner. And I never would have thought of it like as negative thinking or negative personalities. But looking at this and reading it today, I was just like, man, all of this was centered around whenever I wasn't focused on anything else. And when in reality, I needed to be focused on myself, and I was being selfish, but in a manner that I wasn't really focusing on myself. I was focusing on all the things that were hurting me rather than really focusing on my heart or what makes me happy, as the meditation says. So I think it's crazy that, we talk a lot about the things that are in the meditations or the things that we're going through in life. And I think that as we've seen, like everything has been kind of combining together. And I love, like I pointed out on Jake's live, it's like these meditations run together for a reason. They're put together for a reason. It's like the seasons we go through, or like the seasons of, this is the winter season, is normally looking in at yourself and really trying to focus on it. And these meditations are centered around that. And I used to have a lot of pride and ego because I went through that time where I was, man, I have all the knowledge I need. I don't need to know anything else. Like, I'm smarter than everybody else. Like, how come nobody else can know what I know? Because I had to go and learn all this stuff. So how come you don't know that already? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I used to look down on people for that. And now I realize, like, man, I was like, as important as my education was, like sometimes, like, just my life experience in itself has taught me more than what I had when I went out and got my education done. Now, has it helped me get through life and helped me learn and help me do different work and things like that? Of course it has. I was like, but to resonate with people in a manner that that's going to help them, like, just my experience and being able to go out there and talk has helped me more than that. And so I think as we go through and we start to figure out what kind of impact we can have on people and how we resonate with different people, sometimes we have to let that pride and ego go to the side. And even though we as human beings hold on to that a lot, like, because the last thing we ever want to think about is anybody thinking negative about us, or anybody not listening to us, or anybody, especially, you know, as a dad, like, I have a lot of ego problems when it comes to being a dad sometimes, because I want my kids to listen to me no matter what it is I'm saying. Like, just last night I was having an argument with my daughter because she was talking about, she does things in a certain way and she wants to be stuck with that. And I'm just like, but what if it doesn't fit what it is you're fitting through the day? Or what if it doesn't fit exactly what you're trying to do? And she's like, that's just what I do. And I'm just like, And so I had to kind of take a step back and kind of put myself in her situation so I can talk to her better, because I wanted to be like the dad and be like, no, you just need to do it this way. This is the only way it's going to work. Like, because I'm your dad and you need to listen. But instead, you know, because she's getting to an age where she's starting to ask tons more questions, where I'm just like, I need to be more careful about how I'm talking to her and not let my pride go, you know, get in the way of me trying to talk to her in a manner where she's not going to ever want to talk to me again. You know what I mean? Because we can get to that point as dads where we're like, this is what I say, or you're not going to get any benefit, whatever it is, you know, this dad-daughter stuff is. And I'm still learning that every day. So, you know, the prayer in itself, you know, today let me teach only love and learn only love. And I think that's part of that thing that I had to learn, is that there isn't a day that goes by that I don't learn something. And a lot of it is centered around love and what it truly is, and how it, whether it's your kids or your family, or how you interact with other people. And if you're not exuding who Creator wants you to be, who God wants you to be, and the love that He's trying to show everybody, like, you're failing. And I think that's part of why I have my prayer time in the morning, and I want to make sure that I'm asking, like, to show who you are through my life. And being that witness, and being somebody that doesn't answer their phone while they're in the middle of the live, show real love to the people. Anyway, but yeah, you know, just to know that that's part of who I am now. Like, I don't want to miss any chance, because I know that I've missed my chances before, where I've had people in my life that aren't here anymore, and maybe I hadn't seen them in years, or maybe I'd only seen them once every like 5 or 6 years. And what was my interaction with them during that time that I got to be with them? Did I show them the love that they truly deserve, or did I ignore them, or did I belittle them, or did I put them down? I was like, because they deserve to see who I am and what God is trying to do through me. And that love that He shows me, I need to be able to show other people. And so I think that as we go through life and we're trying to think about, the ways that we're trying to go and the prayers that we have, like we need to make sure that we're including that, because if we're not, even that may seem like a small thing, but like if you're not including that in part of how you're trying to recover, that's just what I do. Like it helps me to be who I am today. It's also helped me to get over my own fears and my own pride and my own ego, because if I'm not doing that, then why am I here anymore? That's part of what I've been called to do. It's like, hey, you need to do this. So and who is doing it? And you can't rely on somebody else to do what I'm calling you to do, because I'm calling you to do it. And I think I did that for a long time. It's like I relied on other people to do what I was supposed to be doing. And then when I had that realization that this is who I am, like I had to let Mahayot, I had to let God start doing his work. And once he started doing it, like things started coming way easier. And that's just part of life, man. Going through that awareness, like we were talking about, going through that time where, you're letting go of who you really are to let him do his work through you. So, but yeah, that's what I got, man. You can drop your knowledge now, Mr. Boat.
That was good. I like that. I like how you, can we go through the comments before we, oh, look who made it back. Miss Pratt. Janet,
it was going to be our podcast.
Janet Pratt is back.
No.
Pratt is back in the building. Miss Pratt is back in the building. That's cool.
Just get close to the mic and Lulu.
Yeah, here you go.
Lulu for yourself. Yeah. She's like, no, I Lulu too much last night.
I'm hoarse.
Yeah.
Mexican Warcraft. Can we read the comments?
Alex Dean says good morning.
Good morning.
And then
Alex Dean, my
Elizabeth
niece.
Black says the mystic death of the ego. It makes me think about the cycles and how we circle through this death many times. How at first we can experience this as a negative thing, and then over many times of experience it, we can feel as though it's a blessing. The more being revealed deeper every time. Yeah. Then we get a humph is such a dad response.
Yeah.
And then hold on. Frida says just one person, Father God, to the power of happiness, power of gratitude, power of forgiving, the unforgivable power to healthy boundaries, power of self-care, power of love, to be a hollow bone, and to share my experience, strength, and hope in a good way, even when negativity comes, to be able to have the power of humbleness. Father God, in your hands, you have gone before us, and I can continue to keep the day level with my spirit, the best part of healing in progress, while I do the works in progress.
Thank you for sharing that, sister.
Jake said, tell them to make sure they join us tonight.
Nope.
This ain't about you, Jake.
Yeah, that's at nighttime.
Well, actually, Chad Boy was trying to get on there last night.
Oh, yeah.
And he's so new into TikTok that he couldn't get on. But we've been having Tashi. I want to say she lives in, I don't know where she lives, but she's closer to the West Coast. And we had Monique on there. She lives in California. I mean, like,
there's all kinds of people.
It's actually becoming like a thing on TikTok. Yep. And then we like it, just us in there on the doing the live, like we all end up like it. Man, I probably like it, like we probably give it like 20,000 likes a piece. Because we're just sitting there tapping the screen.
Yeah, Jake won't let us get off until we.
Yeah. But, like it's actually turning into its own thing. So check out Recovery Over Everything on TikTok. About 9 o'clock. Nobody really gets on till like 10, but, he keeps us entertained for about a good hour. Then when everybody, when we get about 6 people, then we, like sometimes it'll be all the way full, but, there'll be usually a spot or two up. But it's been pretty cool, like that's, we go till about midnight. Yeah. And then I lay down and I plug my phone in And I just looked at my notifications on TikTok, and he was still going. It's like 12:30.
Waits for all you to get up. All right, here's the real.
We always joke because we're like, hey, we can do the next meditation.
Yeah, it'll go into the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, check him out, my bro Jake. Creating something, creating a community on TikTok. So it's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
But I'm gonna go ahead and
finish the comments. Or?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were finished.
You're gonna interrupt Mingo's wise words. He says Chuck Norris. I don't know what he's talking about, but
Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mingo.
Wow. Thanks for
that,
knowledge bone.
Speaker night, Mingo.
Knowledge bone.
Ruth says, more the knowledge, lesser the ego, lesser the knowledge, more the ego. Albert Einstein.
I like that.
And then Elizabeth just says, we fellowship for about an hour and it's a good time.
Yeah.
And then, she put in recovery over everything on TikTok.
Yeah. Elizabeth's always on there. So, yeah, it's turning into a thing, It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just like I said, just to be a part of this community.
Yep.
But is that it? Is that all the comments? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dive right in. Okay, some of the things that stuck out to me about the meditation, of course, the mystic death of the ego. I think mine's like a zombie. Like it keeps popping back up, every time I think I put it down, something else happens and, it gives it life again.
I think it happens with everybody.
Like mine's the mystic zombie ego. Every time I've, it's a vampire or something, like, I don't know, but, like mine, I wish I could just put it to bed and, call it good. But, just human nature is, it's always easier to go back to the old way of thinking. That's the easiest thing. That's just human nature. We're going to go to the path of least resistance. And it's easy for me to be, to go back to my old defects because that was the easy way of life. I didn't have to care about nobody. I didn't have to care about nothing. Nothing else mattered whenever you go down that path. But it's a lonely path.
Right.
It's a very, very lonely path. And through my sobriety, through my recovery, I had to, forge a new path. I had to, beat a new path, which was hard. It's something that my, like how we were just talking about on God's time. Mm-hmm. It's like getting into recovery, having this clarity, having, this being blessed with sobriety. It's like whenever I was ready for this fight, because I'm sitting there looking at the jungle and it's all overgrown, like hear all these wild animals, like I hear all the things, right? Things growling, it's like, yeah, it's like God was giving me these tools, and I think one of the biggest tools that he gave me was love. That was, love. Yeah.
Really true.
Love. But, not that kind. Yeah. But, like.
That kind too. But that kind too.
Walking around, yeah. Like Yosemite Sam, yeah. But, that was a vital tool in to have at, and I could almost say to have at my disposal, because I used to use it in a way that that would only benefit me. I would only show love when I thought I could get something from it. I didn't give it freely. And then when I went to detox, went to rehab, and like I just kept meeting all these people and they kept telling me that they love me, and they say it ain't a damn thing you can do about it. I saw like that's like the weirdest thing to say to someone, you know, like how odd is that? But I didn't understand the concept of giving it away, you know, because I didn't have it at the time. But as I'm getting ready to go on this journey, you know, you start realizing, you know, you start questioning your beliefs, you start you know, asking for guidance, you know, and you know, it seemed like everything that I asked for, and I noticed that the Creator was putting something in front of me that would make me more aware of when I needed that tool. You know, like if I asked for patience, He definitely gave me something that made me wait. Yeah. You know, I asked for tolerance. He definitely, like, he'd give me a roommate that would drive me crazy, you know? Like, I asked for acceptance. Man, radical acceptance had to be practiced with some of the things that were going on in my life. You know, like every time that I asked for something, He would put something in front of me, you know, that I would have to face and find a positive way to go about these things. Yeah. You know, and so as I'm trudging along on my journey, I'm running into, you know, these conflicts. And what I've learned is that every time I came up against conflict and I handled it in a way that only love and respect could make things better, you know, it seemed like that growth that was on the other side, you know, like it came in ways that I never expected. I had to get upset, you know, because that's what my mind tells me I need to do in some certain situations, you know. And then as my ego, you know, I gotta use that love 6-shooter, you know, to deflate that ego. You know, every chance that I feel like it's getting pumped up. Yeah, here I come doing another drive-by again, you know, with my love 6-shooter and, you know, lighting it up. Yeah. But, you know, like
Hey, hello.
Yeah. But, you know, it's amazing, you know, we were talking about that awareness. You know, whereas before I just thought that that's how life was. You know, when this happens, you got to do this. When this happens, you got to do this. This is, you know, the principalities of, you know, I couldn't even spell it at the time, but, you know, that was how I thought. And I thought that's the only way that life was, you know, because when you're in survival mode, you know, like, that's what kept me alive for 41 years, you know, was survival mode. And then to get away from that way of thinking, it's like, nah, you're not supposed to trust nobody. You know, like you never trust anything you hear and only half of what you see. You know, like you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You know, like all these like street things that I learned, you try to bring it over into the recovery world and it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know, you can't bring, like, this is the way my sponsor told me, is that you can't even dab your toes in the game. You can't even dab your toes in the game and then expect to be okay over here. Ain't nothing but love over here. You know, we practice love, we teach love, we love you, and, you know, like, that's what we can offer you over here. So then, you know, comes the question, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? You know, like just that. It's a simple question. It seems simple. You know, like that question definitely seems simple. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And I'm going to choose happiness. You know, just about every time. Until my ego needs it to be pumped up some more, I'm gonna choose to be right. But, you know, what I found when asking that question is that's where I found my purpose in life. You know, is learning how to be happy. Yeah, I'm only really happy when I'm helping other people. Like, that's my purpose in life. And how they, like, I didn't know that smoking all that crack was going to pay off. I didn't know that shooting up all those drugs in my arm was going to pay off. I didn't know drinking all that vodka was going to help somebody. Like, there's no way in hell that I thought that telling all them lies were going to benefit anybody besides me. Like, there's no, like, that's what the crazy thing about recovery is that it takes all my life's mistakes and I admit them and I say that's who I used to be. But I came over here and I found love and I found a way to be happy. And I think everybody deserves, at least give yourself a chance to do it. Like, even if, I would take it in, like, I thought love was, when I owed him $20, he didn't even say nothing about it when I went and bought another sack, that was love, oh, he gave me a fat sack, and that was the way, that I understood it. Yeah. So, I always want to make sense of things in the drug world, in the addicts world, I want to make sense of everything. But in that world, nothing makes sense. Like today I live a life of simple math. Simple math, it's like a very simple equation to what my life is. And then I think about what it used to be and the amount of space that I would need to write that whole, like it's crazy to write down like every problem that I had and how I handled it and yada, 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 like it just did not make one lick of sense. So today, I get to practice tolerance. I get to practice acceptance. I get to practice love. I get to practice respect. And I get to give it out freely because that's what somebody else did for me. So I like that prayer. I like that prayer. It's it really hit home with me. Just for the simple fact that, like, who would have ever thought that this is how I would be thinking? I'm the last one that would have ever thought, that this is the way I would be thinking today. So it says, Great Spirit, today let me teach only love and learn only love. Like, if that's all I'm willing to practice and that's all I'm willing to learn, it seems like whenever it was talking about speaking to the heart, like my mind was so twisted, my heart was so cold that sometimes I got to ask the Creator to come into these things, come into my thoughts, come into my heart and guide me, show me, like, cause, simple math, right? Like, he has to grab my hand and put it, like take me there. Yeah. Like, grab that and, because that's how simple my mind is, But, sometimes I have to ask him, come into my thoughts, come into my heart, be present with me, consult the Creator about these things, and it seems like the more and more I turn to the Creator, the more and more, like he's going to set these things in my life where, I got, of course, he needs me to figure these things out on my own, but he's always going to give me an answer on his time. Did I ever want to put my kids through what I put them through? Hell no, like I, when having my kids, I thought they deserved the world. And it seemed like I did that to them, then I considered myself a failure. And I it was a grim reality. But today, I have two daughters that are in recovery, and I pray, that my grandkids will never after have to experience what they had to go through.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just the way that God made things happen, you know, we're definitely on that path. You know, and the good thing about it is that even after I'm gone, you know, that my prayers are going to stay here and they're going to keep going. You know, they say that you might go, you know, people might go on, you know, but your prayers stay here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like to me, that's a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing. You know, that love that you have for somebody can still keep going even after you're gone. So, you know, those are things that I think about. You know, those are prayers that I want to say. And if it takes the Creator coming down here and grabbing my hand, and yeah, then so be it. You know, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm all right with that, because as long as my ego, as long as I can,
You know,
bust a cap on my ego with my love machine.
there's
My love machine.
There's always those times in my life where I've been walking and I felt like I was by myself. And I remember going back and hearing my mom's prayers.
Oh yeah.
And the way she used to pray.
Mm-hmm.
And they still carry me. And I think like it couldn't have just been my mom that prayed. I know that I had aunts that prayed. I know that I had grandmas that prayed. You know, even beyond that, you know, we always talk about, you know,
ancestors.
Our ancestors.
Yeah.
We're our answers to our ancestors' prayers. We talk about that all the time. And so whenever I pray and I'm praying with my kids, it's one of the things I'm trying to teach them. It's like, this isn't just a prayer for this moment in time. It's a prayer for times after that. Not just because I'm trying to teach them how to pray and have that relationship with God, but how powerful that is and how powerful it is. Because I show them and I tell them, like, hey, you need to pray for whoever your future spouse is going to be. I know you might not even be thinking about it, or maybe you won't even get married. I said, but there's somebody out there that you're going to have a relationship with that may be going through it. And your prayer might be the only thing that's getting them through that time. And I remember having that same prayer with my mom. And I was just like, man, that's crazy. We're praying for something that's way in the future. But would there even be that future if you weren't praying for it? And so I just remember that. And then you were talking about whether you want to be right or be happy. I remember having those same questions in my head. And I'd be like, well, people would be happy if they knew that I was right.
Yeah.
All you got to know is that I'm right. And then everybody be happy. And that was my thoughts. That was my ego. That was me being like, man, you don't know how happy you'd be if you just did everything that I told you to do. You would be so happy. And when I wasn't following my own instructions or doing the things I said to do, and I wasn't concerned about my own happiness. And you know, now that we've learned and we know and we're more aware of everything that we're trying to accomplish, like it's just you know, it's just crazy.
That awareness.
Yeah.
Blessed with that awareness. You know, it's an amazing thing. You know, and it happens in a way that you're already in it. And then you're just like, well, damn. You know, like, how'd I get here? You know?
Thanks.
Yeah. You know, like that's the way it happens, you know, and it isn't until you're right in the middle of it or the opportunity is coming up and you're just like, wow, like, you know, that divine intervention, you know. So it's a, you know, it's good reading. The readings have been lately, you know, like you were saying, they're all tied together, you know. And in the winter season, they say we're searching for the elders' wisdom, and it's the elders' wisdom, but you're also planning for spring, you know, like you're coming up with new ideals. You're coming up with these new things to implement whenever spring comes around, so you can plant these seeds, you know. So I mean, it's you know, when I think about what my ancestors would be in a teepee, you know, like Like, like it just to have that thought. And the winter is crazy, like how they, like damn, that was cold,
Right.
But I mean, those are the people we come from. That's where we come from. And it took a lot for us to be here today.
Right.
So honoring where we came from and honoring where we're going. That's just as important. Honoring where our bloodline is going. Honoring where the Creator, needs us to be. Because we're not promised tomorrow. So, I try to live my day as if it's my last. So I've learned to make the most of my days. I've learned to kind of be in the moment, be present. So I like today's reading. It really. I want to hear you giving my share later, Jake.
Yeah.
Tonight on TikTok.
Reversing it now?
Yeah.
Writing it all down.
I'll rewatch it. Audio message.
Yeah.
Not even going to be his voice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Gary's voice,
Yeah.
Just recorded
Yeah,
over.
lip syncing.
Don't
Do
be
we have any more
saying
comments?
the same stuff that we just said.
This is back whenever they were talking about recovery over everything's TikTok, and then Nat goes, and we can cuss.
Oh yeah.
And then
Hell yeah.
McKK was asking what time, and Nat says 9:37 ish sharp. And then Cassie B says good morning.
Good morning, Cass.
Mary Beaver says good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
Morning, Mary.
Faye
Morning.
says Turahi.
She
Hey,
says, no,
a
that's
dudahe.
Dudahe.
Oh, Dura.
Dudahe. It is good.
Eat the tea. Dave Levi, this had me cracking up. I had to turn around. He says, do you want to be rugged or be happy? Can't be both all the time, just after midnight.
Happy rugged.
Yeah,
Rugged and
giggling.
happy.
And then Nat says he always chooses rugged.
Yeah,
And then Jeremy Harjo just goes, man.
Mado.
Yeah. And then Daniel says while he's praying for his future spouse, don't let her be rugged.
Yeah.
And then Jake says, hey, stall some more. I'm uploading my video.
Oh yeah, he always wants like, but y'all need to drop my video on y'all's.
Gotta be a short video. Can't be dropping 5-minute videos. He won't let us. Yeah, that's all the comments.
I told him if he starts modeling his products, I'll share everything.
Live. He has
Yeah.
to do it live though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you quit sending me all your nude videos,
Show the product, not just is laying on the ground.
Not the goods.
quit showing me your goods and actually show your product.
Al says, "Yate brothers."
Yep.
Hey,
Well, that's all. Do we have any? So the dance is postponed.
Mhm.
the rest recovery.
The committee
your
got
anniversary.
together and it was decided. It was a close vote. But it was decided to push it back until February 7th at the same location, just February 7th. So of course we're expecting to have bad weather this weekend, but I was like old school way, like they would do it no matter what. Because once that flyer went out, it was kind of set in stone. Luckily we have social media, we have other ways of communicating today, pretty freely. So, I think it's the benefit of living in today's world. I don't want to put anybody in danger, so. February 7th will be the new date. Same, just about the same everything, just a different date. So February 7th. Do we have any more
Stuff coming up.
Mo stuff?
Yeah, hold on. Let me find my.
We do have our speaker meeting next Thursday. Miss Lydia West is coming.
Yeah.
Here to 1950 South Shepherd. So make sure you guys come out. It's potluck. Bring your favorite dish.
28th,
Come and hear her 29th.
29th.
Her experience, strength, and hope.
And then before that, in Canton, we will be doing.
That's what I was looking for.
We'll be doing a hand drum making class at the ERC from 4 to 6 on January 27th. I think we're doing Frito chili pie for that one. And so come out, make a hand
Bloop,
drum,
bloop.
and then bring your toilet paper. We also have our snag bags are still available. I think we'll probably do these until mid-February. They've got condoms, dental dams, HIV test kits, syphilis test kits, breath mints, Narcan, fentanyl test kits, and educational materials in them. So look for a post with either a bunch of boxes behind us or anything, and then there's usually the link, or look for this flyer on our page.
Yeah, look for Barry's last.
Yeah, Barry's thrown.
Just thrown.
And then
all his snack bags.
Our meetings. Run through them.
Meeting every day.
Monday here at 1950 South Shepherd at 7 o'clock. We have an open talking circle. Then on Tuesday is the women's group, which they're making, they're doing a lot of great things. I think last Tuesday they cleaned some cedar. They're going through the steps, which I think is very important. And then that's always at 7 here at 1950 South Shepherd. And then Wednesday is our noon talking circle at 4400 Southwest 21st and at the Tribal Resource Center in Oklahoma City on 21st in Meridian behind the Ramada Inn. We have a talking circle at noon. And then on Thursday here at 1850 South Shepherd and at 7, and then on Fridays we have a men's meeting, which we would like to see more participation happening, but it's going to work out the way it's to be. Having a talk circle, talking circle that we've only been having for over a year, but we'll make it work.
Yeah,
we'll definitely make it
prevention area, so it'll be just be as loud as you can be, so they know not to
yeah,
schedule an event the same day.
Yeah. And that's there's gonna be quite a few people coming through.
You got what?
I think they're gonna be surprised. Yeah, about 30 people. So that's amazing. I love being a part of this community. So.
And then starting February 5th, our original youth group, we're trying to reach closer to the youth. So now the teen group will be at El Reno High School the first and third Thursday of each month at the El Reno JOM room or Indian Education room.
What time would that be?
It's 3 to 5, so it'll be just an after school program. So if you have any kids that are in El Reno High School or El Reno, send them out. We're going to try to get some snacks, activities, all sorts of stuff, but just to make, a place people can just decompress.
It's
and
not a babysitting service.
Yeah.
Tatum will leave at 5, so pick up your kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all.
That's cool. I want to help out with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely
Do
have all sorts of things.
Well, is that it?
Frida says every Tuesday at noon at the Bethany Library. The Kelly Club Monday 2 to 3:30. Both of them have Zooms. And then Mary Faye says Wellbriety noon meeting at Pawnee Nation every Thursday.
Oh, ladies, for that. Thank you for sharing that.
That's it.
So that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Well, like, share, follow, tell your mammy about us, and we will see you
Stay safe and
tomorrow.
warm.